You know, for so many families here in Australia, the big dream is having their parents close by, living here with them. Today, we're going to break down a key first step in making that dream a reality. We're talking about the Subclass 173 Parent Visa. So, if you're an Australian citizen or a permanent resident, I'm guessing this thought has popped into your head more than once, right? It's a huge decision, super exciting, of course, but also, let's be honest, a bit overwhelming. You're probably wondering, how on earth do I even start? Well, the whole journey to getting a parent permanent residency can be pretty long, and for a lot of people, it starts with a temporary step. And that step is the Subclass 173 visa. It gives them a 2-year stay, and it's a really crucial first piece of the puzzle. So let's dive in and see exactly how it works. All right, first up, let's get clear on what we're actually talking about. This isn't just a government form. It's really a bridge that connects families across the world. So what is the Subclass 173 visa, really? Okay, here's the official breakdown. At its heart, the Subclass 173 is a temporary visa. It gives a parent the right to live in Australia for up to 2 years. Now, the key thing is that their child has to be settled here. That basically means they're a citizen or permanent resident who's been living in Australia for a reasonable time, usually at least 2 years. Think of this visa as the first major step in what's often a 2-part journey to staying here for good. And this visa isn't just about being in the country. It's about actually starting a life here. As you can see, it lets your parent work and study, although they won't get government support for that. But what's huge is that it gives them access to Medicare. That's a massive peace of mind for any family. It also means they can travel in and out of Australia. But the most important thing, it opens the door to the next stage, applying for that permanent Subclass 143 visa. Okay, so now you get what the visa is, but how do you actually get it? This next part is all about the pathway. We're going to break down the application process so you know exactly what you're in for. This really shows you the whole journey your application is going to take. And look, it's not just a one-and-done decision. It's really a 4-step process. First, you lodge the application, and they check if you're eligible. If you tick all the boxes, boom, you're added to a formal queue. Then, and this is the long part, you wait. As places become available each year, your application gets pulled from the queue for the final lookover and decision. Seriously, understanding this queue is probably the most important part of keeping your expectations in check. Now, here is a detail you absolutely cannot afford to get wrong. Where you are when you apply is critical. If you apply from inside Australia, your parent and anyone else in that application must also be in Australia. If you apply from outside, then guess what? Everyone has to be outside. Getting this wrong can literally get the whole application thrown out, so it's a huge logistical point you need to plan for. All right, let's get real. We need to talk about the 2 things that require the most planning, the cost and the seriously long waiting times. Managing your expectations on these 2 is absolutely key. Let's just put it out there. The cost for just one applicant starts from over $32,000. There's a reason it's called a contributory visa. You're basically making a big contribution towards their future healthcare costs. And remember, that's just the starting point. There are extra charges for any other family members on the application. Yeah, that number can definitely make you catch your breath. But here's the thing. The system is actually set up to make it a bit more manageable. See, the payment is split into 2 big chunks. You pay the first bit right when you apply, but the second part, which is the really big one, they don't ask for that until years down the track, right when your application finally gets to the front of the line. So it basically lets you spread that huge cost over the entire waiting time, which helps a lot. So why the massive wait? This quote from the Department of Home Affairs says it all, really. There are just way more people applying for these visas than there are spots available in the migration program each year. It's a simple case of supply and demand, and that imbalance is what causes these long processing times. So the crucial concept to wrap your head around is capping and queuing. The government puts a cap, a limit, on how many parent visas they'll grant each year. Every eligible application goes into a queue and gets processed strictly in the order it was received, but only as those limited spots open up. It's a formal first-in, first-out system. Simple as that. So let's jump forward in time. You've waited, you've paid, and the visa is finally granted. What does life in Australia actually look like for your parent? Let's cover both the freedoms they'll have and the rules they'll have to play by. This table lays it out pretty clearly. It's like a balance sheet. On one side, you've got the rights, freedom to work, to study, to travel, and that all-important access to Medicare. On the other side,
You've got the obligations. They have to obey all Australian laws, meet any specific conditions on their visa, and, this is a big one, they must make their first entry into Australia before the date in their visa grant letter.
And please, this is an incredibly important point to remember. The Subclass 173 is a temporary 2-year visa, and that's it. You can't extend it, you can't apply for it again. It is designed to be a bridge, not the final destination. As soon as you're on this visa, the clock starts ticking to take that next step. So what is that next step? Well, this final section is all about the future. It's about seeing how this temporary visa fits into the bigger picture of getting permanent residency and really settling down in Australia for good. This timeline maps out the intended path perfectly. The moment that temporary Subclass 173 visa is granted, a 2-year window opens up. Sometime within those 2 years, you have to apply for the permanent Contributory Parent Visa, the Subclass 143. The 173 visa is basically holding your parent's spot in line while you get ready for that final permanent stage.
Okay, here's the key trade-off you really need to think about. Doing it this way, the 2-step 173 to 143 pathway actually costs more money in total than if you just applied for the permanent 143 visa from the start. So why would anyone do it? The big advantage is that it lets you split that huge cost over a much longer period of time, which makes it a more realistic option for a lot of families. So as we wrap this up, let's just be really clear. The Subclass 173 visa is a massive investment. It's going to take a lot of your time and a lot of your money. But what it gives you back is a clear, structured, and official pathway to bringing your parents to Australia and finally reuniting your family for the long haul. And that brings us to the final question, and it's one that only you can answer. When you look at the costs, when you think about those very long timelines and this whole 2-step process, you have to decide, is this staged journey the right financial and emotional path for your family's reunion story?